Hello and welcome to episode number 212 of Bill Man the Sport Guys podcast. I'm your host, Bill Man the Sports Guy. Now, before we talk about the NBA free agency signings, over the 4th of July weekend, the sports world sadly lost two people. First one is the sports world lost Diogo Jota. He passed away in a car accident at the age of 28. Diogo Jota, who was a professional footballer and a striker, which meant to score goals in professional football. He just recently played for the Liverpool fan club. Extremely upsetting that the world of football and soccer lost a very good goal scorer in Diogo Jota. And also former Major League World Series champion closer Bobby Jenks passed away also on the 4th of July weekend at the age of 44 from cancer. Bobby Jenks, who was a key role of the 2005 World Series Chicago White Sox team, played a huge role in their World Series title in 2005, ending their 88-year drought. Bobby Jenks played Major League Baseball from 2005 to 2011 with the Chicago White Sox and the Boston Red Sox. He did record 4 saves during the 2005 World Series run and did also rank a career 173 saves, which does put him second all-time in White Sox history. And while his last season did come in 2011 against the Boston Red Sox, my thoughts and prayers go out to their friends and family. It's always really sad whenever the sports world loses somebody. All right, now let's go to NBA free agency signings. So the first one we're going to talk about are James Harden and Bobby Portis. They both re-signed with their current teams that they were at this past season. So James Harden re-signs with the Los Angeles Clippers, and Bobby Portis re-signs with the Milwaukee Bucks. For James Harden, it's a 2-year, $81 million contract. James Harden, not the MVP caliber player that he was during his prime. And it looks like he's basically going to finish his career with the Los Angeles Clippers. So I honestly don't mind this deal. While the Clippers, it's only a matter of time before they can finally get back to true postseason content. And the next one is Bobby Portis, 3-year, $44 million deal. You know, the Milwaukee Bucks, they're kind of in a weird spot. So I think adding Portis still does help. Now, will this be enough to keep Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee? I'm not so sure about that. So adding a scorer in Bobby Portis will help. And also with this defensive play, I think the Bucks should be an interesting, good team for next season. All right. The Memphis Grizzlies, they signed Jaren Jackson Jr. to a 5-year, $240 million contract extension. They've also re-signed Santi Aldama to a 3-year, $52.5 million deal, and they signed Ty Jerome to a 3-year, $28 million deal. The Grizzlies are going to be an interesting team. Will it be enough to help them push in the division? I don't know. But adding them to the Memphis Grizzlies is going to make them look a bit more tougher, also in terms of the physicality department. D'Angelo Russell to the Dallas Mavericks on a 2-year, $13 million contract. So D'Angelo Russell, who is a solid scorer during his time with the Lakers and before getting traded to the Brooklyn Nets. D'Angelo Russell with a healthy Anthony Davis, Cooper Flag. This is going to be very interesting. I'd be interested to see how the Dallas Mavericks will rebounds after the whole. We all know the Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis trade. That really made a lot of Dallas Mavericks fans very angry. So I think D'Angelo Russell, I think he honestly could work out. And this will actually be an interesting signing. Okay, here's one contract that I'm honestly not a fan of, that I will admit right now and tell you. The San Antonio Spurs signed Luke Cornett to a 4-year, $41 million contract. I don't, for a guy who averaged just 6 points per game, rebounded 5.3 per game, and or one only averaged like one rebound per game. Definitely an overpay. I feel like the Spurs could have been a bit more smarter in terms of money, but giving $41 million deals to a 30-year-old who only averaged 6 points, I don't like San Antonio's thought process. And I don't think he'll move a tad. I don't think he moves the net for San Antonio. I'm just going to say it right now. But if they make him play in a limited role, then I might be an okay, but I really don't like the contract whatsoever. Next up, Brook Lopez is signing a 2-year, $18 million deal with the Los Angeles Clippers. Very interesting signing. Brook Lopez, really good rebounder and defender, and is a solid scorer. I don't know if that still sticks when he does start the season with the Clippers. So it's an interesting signing. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Next up, Tyus Jones signs with the Orlando Magic, 1-year, $7 million deal. Fine signing, 1-year deal. No consequence right there, so I don't mind the signing at all for the Magic. All right, this is a big one. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander signs a 4-year, 285 max contract extension with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and rightfully so, because the Thunder are the NBA champions for the 2024-25 season. And this is worth every penny. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is a beast of a player. I really like this move for the Thunder. I think he's one of their true aces for the future. I love this signing a lot. The Milwaukee Bucks, they made two questionable, interesting moves. First and foremost, they waived Damian Lillard, and then they go out and sign Miles Turner to a 4-year, $107 million contract. Bucks fans, I want to know your thoughts. How do you feel about Lillard not being there next season? Damian Lillard, yeah, he was hurt a lot, but he's still one of the best players in the NBA. That's a questionable move. And then giving $107 million to Miles Turner, who, yes, is a good defensively, but compare him to Damian Lillard, he's nowhere near scoring ability towards Damian Lillard. So I don't know. And then Bucks fans, I need to ask you all this. Does this convince Giannis Antetokounmpo to stay in Milwaukee, or does he move on? Let me know your thoughts on that. Then the next one we're going to sign, or that we're going to talk about, I don't know why I said sign. That's my bad. Dennis Schroeder signs a 3-year, $45 million contract with the Sacramento Kings. Very interesting move. If Schroeder, I'm sorry, if Schroeder can improve his offensive game and also improve his defensive game, this could be a push for the Los Angeles, or not Los Angeles. Gosh, I'm so sorry. The Sacramento Kings. Very interesting move, I will admit. Duncan Robinson is going to go to the Detroit Pistons on a 3-year, $48 million deal. Duncan Robinson's a fine player. I think he'll do fine. I don't, if you're a Pistons fan and if Detroit thinks he's going to be this potential superstar, then I really think Detroit Piston fans are going to be in for a rude awakening. Our next one we're going to talk about, Kyle Lowry signs a 1-year deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't know how much money, it doesn't really say, but just a fine contract. Not a whole lot to talk about. Kyle Lowry, not what he once was in his prime, but he's also going to enter his 20th NBA season, so good for the 76ers and good for Lowry. I think this is a good move for the most part. Pablo Banchero is going to stick around with the Orlando Magic on a 5-year contract worth around $287.5 million contract. Watch out for the Orlando Magic. They are going to show serious play and they're going to be serious contenders and they're going to improve a lot from last season. So extending Banchero, good move. Really like this move a lot for the Orlando Magic. Next up, Chet Holmgren signs his max contract extension for the Oklahoma City Thunder. 5-year contract, worth to be around $250 million. Coming back from a hip injury and then winning the NBA Finals, I like this move a lot for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm very curious to see what his play style is going to be. The fact that we really haven't seen him played a lot from this season. Devin Booker stays with the Phoenix Suns, 2-year, $145 million contract extension. In reality, I don't know what direction the Suns are going to go. So keeping Devin Booker, their longest tenure player, that's fine. But the reality question is, what move are they going to go? I just don't know. Then the last one we're going to talk about in today's episode, the Oklahoma City Thunder do extend Jalen Williams on a 5-year contract worth around $287 million. I like it a lot. Jalen Williams really stepped up his game and showed his play during their NBA championship run. So I like this move a lot for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I think he'll be one of their best players for years to come. And then the last one we're going to talk about, New Orleans Pelicans do re-sign Herbert Jones to a 3-year, $68 million contract. Was injured a lot, so really hope if he can become one of New Orleans superstars, then I think this will be a very good contract. Okay, we do have, well, now 2 baseball moves to talk about. A trade that happened is that the Tampa Bay Rays have acquired Brian Baker from the Baltimore Orioles for for a return unknown. Brian Baker, he had a 3.52 ERA with the Orioles, so the Orioles are getting rid of one of their top relievers from this past season. And Tampa Bay, man, they're not playing around. I really expect the AL East to be a bit competitive. You got the Yankees, then the Red Sox are on a hot streak. Don't sleep on the Rays and Blue Jays because they will show some fight. But Baltimore Orioles, I guess they selling off was a fine move, but one of the only few pieces that they could actually move. And for the Orioles, they may want more focus on winning instead of prospects because for the last half of the 2010 decade, they were awful, even in heading into the 2020 decade. So for the Rays, this gives them more of a reason to fight to make it to the playoffs in the AL East. As for the Orioles, start focus on winning. Could you do us all that, please? And then the last one is Mike Rizzo, general manager, and former manager Dave Martinez have been fired from the Washington Nationals. The draft did happen this past Sunday, and I thought the timing was a bit weird. Martinez is a solid manager. Rizzo, I thought he was a solid general manager for building up competitive teams during his tenure with the Washington Nationals. Like, he really brought them back from the dead. So I'm be curious to see which team hires Mike Rizzo and Dave Martinez. So only time matter to tell, but I know the Nationals are rebuilding, but just firing both of them was interesting to say the least. All right. We also had the draft this past weekend. So I'm going to quickly give you my thoughts on picks 1 through 10 because I feel like picks 1 through 10, you get an idea, but then 11 and after, forget about it. First overall pick, the Washington Nationals did select shortstop Eli Willis. With the second pick, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim selected pitcher Tyler Bremer. Cade Anderson from LSU is going to be taken to the Seattle Mariners with the third overall pick. Ethan Holiday, he is going to go to the Colorado Rockies, one of the younger sons of Matt Holliday, playing shortstop. Rockies took him fourth overall. Pitcher Liam Doyle is going to go to the St. Louis Cardinals. The Pittsburgh Pirates select pitcher Seth Hernandez. The Miami Marlins select shortstop Ava Arquette. I apologize if I said it wrong. With the seventh, no, I'm sorry, with the eighth pick, the Toronto Blue Jays select shortstop JoJo Parker. With the ninth overall pick, the Cincinnati Reds selected shortstop Steele Hall. And last but not least, at number 10, the Chicago White Sox selected Billy Carlson. So interesting enough that the top 10 picks this year were all shortstops and pitchers. We'll see who pans out. I really think they're all going to pan out with their teams, but at the end of the day, it is a little too early to judge on who's going to be a superstar and who isn't. So that is all for today's episode. Thank you for tuning in to episode number 212 of Bill Man the Sport Guys podcast. I'm your host, Bill Man the Sports Guy. Stay tuned for episode number 213. Peace.